Hey, welcome to our podcast. This is Bad Playstyle. Bad Playstyle is a book club podcast where we all sit down and play the same game. And hopefully you have played the same game at home so that you can be intellectually engaged with our conversation.
Not psychically savaged by the infinite spoiler.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're going to spoil every game that we set out to play. And any games that come up, I don't know, we'll probably fucking spoil them too, so check the show notes before you listen to an episode if you don't want to get blindsided by us mentioning off the cuff that, I don't know, Paul Ryan is Atlas.
We're here again. I sound different.
Yeah, Matt is sick.
Yeah.
He's got a sick man voice.
Oh yeah. I've been describing it on bad days as James Earl Jones ate a cigarette factory.
Okay.
Or the surrogate from Breaking Bad. Or not Breaking Bad, Arrested Development.
Yeah, but his is like a wheezy, like almost like he had a tracheotomy.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
like a bit.
There's something wrong with his throat.
Yeah.
Like, that's good days, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's a good show.
Actually, that was a really
No,
good
I'm not talking
description.
to you.
I know
I'm
exactly
talking
what
to the
you're talking
doofus
about.
with the hat.
Yeah.
Hey.
Don't say that. So.
What's the name of the show?
Yeah, what is the name of the show?
Bad Playstyle.
Why is it called bad Playstyle?
Because we're all really bad at video games,
Mhm.
and also because that's not really possible.
We play video games wrong.
Yeah, then that's not a real thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say, okay, fair enough.
Okay. What is on the docket this week, Owen?
We played Oxenfree this week.
We played Oxenfree, and by we mean your name is Owen.
Yeah, I played.
Say hi, Owen.
Hi, my name is Owen. I
Okay.
played Oxenfree.
My name is Matt. I played Oxenfree.
My name is Keenan,
Jesus
and I
Christ.
also played Oxenfree.
All right, and then who are you? We have a special guest this week.
Hi, I'm Elise. I also played Oxenfree. It was
Okay.
kind of amazing.
Alright.
Why'd you do that?
This is Gabe. He didn't play Oxenfree.
Yeah.
Gabe won't talk. Gabe's not a person.
Gabe is a dog. This is good radio.
Gabe is a dog.
He's gonna play
Don't
one.
lick my face.
So yes, there is a dog in the room. He's not talking to any of us about that. But Oxenfree was brought about because Owen was playing it and said, "Hey, this is cool."
Oh, yeah.
And I sat in on one of his little gaming sessions and went, "Holy crap, this looks amazing! Can I play?" And he's like, "Oh yeah,
Yeah.
play!" So yeah, I tried playing it and now I'm on the +1 game.
Yeah, New Game Plus.
New
Game
Game
Plus.
Plus.
Yeah.
Yes.
A time-honored tradition.
Yeah.
Hey, it's pretty amazing.
You want to do that again, but worse?
Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about the New Game Plus. It's kind of like, oh, okay, thank you for that. You know, there's a little flicker of shadows, games past, and I don't know. I want to do something else now.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, Keenan, what have you been playing lately, man? Since the last time we talked, what have you been playing?
the last time we
talked, what are you playing, man?
I'm still playing Rainbow Six Siege.
Okay.
I'm still playing some Warframe with you.
Okay.
And I'm playing the hit new phone game WWE Champions.
Tell me about, because we know about Rainbow Six Siege.
Mm-hmm.
That's that game that's a ripoff of
Due Process.
Due
We
Process.
talked about this last
Yeah.
week.
And then we know about Warframe. That's the game with the, how do you say it, Owen?
Space Swords.
That's the game with the space
Space
swords.
Swords. Yeah,
Okay.
that makes sense.
So, was it, you've been playing...
Space Swords.
No, we weren't talking about it. We were talking about WWE with...
Champions.
That's you
That's
described
the
it
name of
earlier before we went and
Oh.
saw the movie. You said
So it's Bejeweled and wrestling.
okay,
What?
but the important part for us was that the wrestlers still
They still eat each other.
they still consume the flesh of other
Yeah.
wrestlers. No,
That's not quite how it works. But that's the gist of it.
all right.
You can feed a copy of one wrestler to himself, and he gets bigger.
Okay.
And bigger wrestlers, better wrestler, obviously.
Biggest wrestlers, best
And then
wrestlers.
So-
they get prions building up, and
Yep.
they get mad wrestler
It's
disease.
important.
Wrestlers.
It makes them better in the ring and helps you in the bejeweled aspect
Yeah.
Okay.
of the game.
All right.
I think I need to see this at some point.
I-
I don't know if I have to play it.
I can show you. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Like it's a phone game. You can
Yeah,
just...
we can just whip it out after the show.
Oh boy.
That would-
Well, what was your mind going to? I was talking about phones.
Okay. Oh, what have you been playing lately, man?
I've been playing a few things. I bought a game.
The word deep dive is going to come up a few times.
Yeah.
In
I bought an early access game that's barely a game right now. I bought a game called Stable Orbit, and it's about building your own modular space station. And you start with like a space, like a station core, just like a soda can with solar panels on it, and you have a bit of money, and you can buy modules to like bolt on laboratories and habitats and stuff like that, and like a little docking port for a spacecraft to come up. And they come up and they bring you food and astronauts, and you have to give them work. But also your space station heats up from being hit by the sun all the time, so you have to put radiators on. And if you don't, parts of your station break and astronauts die.
It's just like real life.
Yeah. But it's like a super early access game. The gameplay of it's not very deep, but it looks very nice.
Okay.
It has a very loud soundtrack that you can't turn off in the options.
It's a feature.
It's that early access.
So like at a system level, I just had to mute the game after a while. And like one of the it's like the fifth or sixth song.
No, was the soundtrack repetitive or was it just loud?
It's loud and I actually like the music, but it is loud and repetitive. And also like the sixth song has singing in it that I found a little grating. And then when I was like looking online, I was like, man, fuck this last song. I don't like it. And I found people online in the forums like, hey, in this game, developer, can you get rid of the song with the shitty singing on it? And like, the developer responds in the comments, he's like, so I make this game by myself. That's me singing. But, yeah, I mean, I'll think about it. And I felt like a monster finding this thread. Like, dude's like putting himself out there.
I mean, like you're not posting that thread, so you're not the monster.
Yeah, but I still felt like a jerk for thinking it.
For agreeing. Like, yeah, that song sucked. Oh, shit.
Yeah. And like honestly, he's it's not that he's not a talented singer, it's just not my thing. So I played a little bit of that, and that game is actually kind of punishingly hard, and not that rewarding. So that's a game I'm gonna kind of put on the shelf and like maybe check it out again in like a year or 6 months.
What's that game called again?
It's called Stable Orbit.
Stable Orbit.
I've been playing Kentucky Route Zero, which is it's like a really surreal, like magical realism, like.
You're in a cave, not a cave.
Yeah.
Is it Plato's Cave?
I don't think that's the reference they're making.
Okay.
No.
Well, because like Plato's Cave didn't have a lot of bears in it.
Okay.
There are bears in the cave. Don't give it away. Spoiler.
That's not a spoiler.
Jesus.
That's not a spoiler.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a really weird game. You're like a dude who's supposed to deliver some antiques to an address in Kentucky that he doesn't know how to find, and people tell him that he needs to go into a mythical underground highway to get there. And you
seems legit
and see a lot of strange things. It's like it's kind of like playing through like Twin Peaks or something.
Sure.
So
that sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's a very strange game, and it has a gorgeous visual aesthetic that like looks like flat 2D graphics, but is 3D rendered. And like every once in a while, they do these like really cool rotations. And like there's one part where you're like in a house, and you're bringing this woman this antique television, and you turn it on, and when you turn it on, the planks in the wall. I'm gesturing with my hands for like no good reason. But the planks in the wall begin to like they begin to like peel apart, and you can like see this barn with horses behind it. Weird. And like later you find out that the entrance to the Zero is underneath that barn. Yeah,
it sounds like a fever dream.
Yeah, it really is. It's a strange game.
All right, man.
I really like it. And then
Kentucky Route Zero and.
Stable Orbit, and then I started playing a lot of Kerbal Space Program again. That's a game
This is where the deep dive comes in.
Yeah, so I've put 1,000 hours into playing Kerbal Space Program, but 1,000 hours since the game came to Steam. I played a fair bit of it before that. That's a very good game. Well, you'll hear more about it from me as time goes on, I'm sure. It's a spaceflight physics simulator.
Well, so it's like a theme here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a big space nerd.
Me, Mr. Matt, sick guy.
Hey Matt, what games have you been playing?
Yeah, hey Matt, what games have you been playing?
Mr. Cigarette Jones here.
Yeah, Cigarette Jones. That's awesome.
Oh, take it. That'll be it.
I don't think I can like take it and run with that, but in the moment.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
You're Cigarette Jones tonight.
So, so it was mostly Oxenfree and Skyrim, which thanks for that.
Oh yeah, that's like a virus that went around.
That was like a head cold because it was like seriously like people were like, oh yeah, Skyrim, and then, like you played it for like 2 weeks.
Well, it wasn't that. It was
Or
like
a week and a half
yeah.
or something, and then I'm still playing it, and then our other friends are like, "Oh yeah, man! Like, do you have some ideas and some good Skyrim mods I should download?" I'm just like, just go to the workshop, like,
Yeah.
Go away, go look.
yeah, Brian got it too.
yeah. So
I've avoided it.
I've been playing Skyrim. He's been yelling at me about playing Skyrim.
I keep walking out in the living room and be like, damn it, you're going to make me play this.
Yeah. Still just janky as ever.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd ever been a werewolf before. I really liked it, except for I couldn't pick things up. Like
those thumbs, they just...
Well, no, because I did this dungeon. They were like, okay, so in this dungeon, this is like the tutorial dungeon. We're gonna teach you how to be a werewolf, right? Like, turn into a werewolf, kill everybody. And I was like, fuck, great, yeah. So I kill everybody, but like, so for me, the loop when I kill someone is like, kill them, watch their body ragdoll and fall to the floor. Jam E! Because I gotta go kill this other guy, but I'm not gonna remember what his body is later. But I need all of his things.
Sure.
So it's just like strip this dude of all of his worldly possessions in an instant as his body falls to the floor. Then just run to the next guy and like beat him up and do the same thing. But as a werewolf, you can't do that. You like kill him and it does this cool animation, and then I'm like, oh, and then I hit tab to open my inventory, and it's like, would you like to upgrade your werewolf powers? And I'm like, no, because this blows. I can't steal his stuff. Like,
werewolves don't care about worldly possessions.
So, like, my guy's a werewolf, but it's not like a thing that comes up ever. You know,
like you wouldn't put it on your resume,
right? You wouldn't be like special skills werewolf.
First
like,
date, you're not mentioning that.
Special skills. We'll hit you with a shield. You don't talk about the werewolf.
My lycanthropy doesn't define me.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not like interested in doing the whole like cure lycanthropy thing because I've done that.
Been there.
Yeah, I've done that. Interesting. I'm wearing another werewolf skin as clothes, so that's neat.
That's pretty metal.
The thing I love about Skyrim conversations is you, no matter what type of character you're playing, are just describing a really weird serial killer.
Oh yeah.
Like, no matter what.
Yeah,
just take
I love when
everyone's
Bethesda
coins.
games try to take the high road. They're like, "Oh, killing is wrong." It's like I've literally murdered like 300 people, like on the way here. Anyway, playing that small amount of Warframe because they're doing like a Valentine's Day. That's the holiday.
Yeah.
I played a little bit of Glitterman Grove, which was hard.
Like 3 minutes of it.
That was hard.
Yeah.
And
hardest RTS of
I
2017.
love that it's called Glittermitten Grove, and it's about building a fairy forest.
Is it what now, please?
Glittermitten Grove.
Girl wants to know.
It is a city management game where you manage a small community of fairies that tend to a grove of trees where you collect berries and lumber.
Oh my god, yes.
yeah, you come out with berries, lumber, crystal, and sparkles.
Sparkles,
Yes.
crystals.
That's my favorite.
Dude, it's really deep and hard and annoying. And, like, I ran out of
There's
crystals.
a lot of rules.
And there was no way to get more crystals. And I was like, well, we're fucked.
And Owen was like, don't put too much stuff on a tree branch because it'll fall and you'll lose it.
So like you can only place buildings on trees.
Wow.
But you can like break the tree branches and you have to put up these prisms to collect sparkles.
Yay.
But the prisms have to have sunlight hitting them, and if there's like big trees in the way, you have to prune their branches so the sun hits your prisms. And if you put your prisms in the wrong place, they don't get like it's like.
Oh my god,
Okay,
yes.
so literally,
that's a deep hole.
I played Glittermitten Grove for 3 minutes. I'm mad.
You're a dude.
and I
That's
don't-
probably why you're not a pretty
Well,
fairy.
No,
So
there's
okay.
a secret about
Hey.
this game.
Whoa. No,
Yes.
this is the person who at work gets like 8-year-olds fired up about how they don't have enough pockets on their clothes.
Fair enough.
Right? Like, I'm...
At least we can set you up with Glittermitten Grove too.
Yeah.
Please.
We have it.
No, it's great. It's great. It's awful.
Do we
It's-
tell her about...
No.
No?
Don't mention anything.
Let me struggle through on my
Yeah.
own.
No, that's
just-
there's a thing in there.
No,
That's
no.
all. That's all.
Okay,
Okay.
well, but, so Glitterman Grove, and then I'm doing a little Hitman. I want to do... I was starting this earlier. I was just going to see if I could just... Because I remember in Blood Money, when you upgrade your stuff that has nothing to do with actually completing the game the way it's like meant to be completed, you just create this like murderous arsenal.
Yeah.
You know,
It's
and
terrifying
Then, and then every so
assault
often you're like,
rifle you'll
I
never use.
wonder if I can kill everybody in that entire level.
Hmm.
And then you you know, so I haven't done that in the new Hitman yet. So I want to see. I want to see like if I can get away with that, like just cleaning Paris, like the whole thing.
That one's dense.
Yeah, it's dense. And so, well, but like, because you can bring down the like chandelier on the catwalk.
Oh no, I'm not.
That's like a ton of people.
I'm not
and, like,
saying there's not ways to do it.
I can bring like 2 different explosives. There's plenty of firearms I can source on
There's
site.
just a lot of
like,
people at that party,
and
man.
then like if push comes to shove, you can just back yourself into a bathroom and like rip a clip.
Yeah. And like honestly, once I get rid of all the guns on the level, like once I've quarantined all the guns in my possession, like it's open season.
I wonder if
like,
the civilians like run out of the map, or
Yeah,
if they
like-
just run to the corners.
because I remember in Blood Money, they couldn't run out of the map. There was nowhere for them to do that. Like, so you'd get to a point when you were doing
They're
this
just
type
running
of thing where
everywhere.
you had all the guns were yours,
Okay.
and there was nothing you could do about that. And like NPCs couldn't melee stuff,
Right,
so,
and their
like,
AI doesn't want to pick up a gun anyway.
Well, no,
They're too busy freaking out.
they would do that. There would be heroes. Like if you come into a room and you're like, everybody freeze, and you're like pointing a gun at the whole crowd. If you're not pointing a gun directly at this guy over here, he's gonna be like, "There's a gun over there," and he would like run over and like pick it up and start blasting you. But he's like a maitre d',
Right,
He doesn't know what he's doing.
there's no aiming. Interesting.
But
Some
that
good
could,
AI hook.
that could put you in some pickles because like if
If
you
there's
were down
3
to,
heroes in a room.
it would and if you were down to your last like little smidgen of health,
Yeah.
they could get you.
Yeah.
But Blood Money had the 3 headshots in your back end thing, so Anyway, that's what we've been playing. And now that's what we've been playing. Special guest,
Hi.
what have you been playing?
Oxenfree.
Oxenfree.
Yeah, absolutely love this game in that I've never experienced anything like it before, gaming-wise. And when I say gaming, I'm talking about, like, I'm old school gamer, not new-fangled toggle and flippy and twisty things, like those things.
You can't see it, but I'm making a face.
Control. Well, I'm twisting things, so you should be making a face. Anyway.
Control while I'm twisting things. Got it.
The controllers and whatnot. As soon as it got to 2 toggly joystick things, I was like, and I'm out. Thank you, because I would be playing Halo or something with my little brother, who's schooling me, and I'm running away while turning, either looking at the sky or looking down at the ground because I can't figure out how to make the head turn and run.
And he just bops you.
No, he just shoots me,
Oh.
and the screen goes red, and I'm just like, thanks, brother. So it's pretty sad. That's
Doesn't even have this ability to punch you. Jeez.
No, he's pretty brutal, but that's okay. So now when I get to play something like this, it's beautiful. It seriously looks like, Owen has said this, a watercolor painting.
Yeah.
I totally agree. If you want to make that your screensaver, go for it. And then when you see the up-close pictures of the characters, so cute.
Yep.
Just so cute.
Yep.
I mean, happy. Love that. And it also has that dark kind of morbid, spooky, otherworldly feel to it too, which I think is a fun juxtaposition, so it's kind of like, hey, we're gonna go be teenagers and I can be an asshole if I want to be to you, and then maybe we'll make up in the end. And
Did you get into the asshole teenager role playing? Did you get into that or?
I was kind of more the snarky than like the straight up bitch, yeah.
Do we want to give a rundown for our 2 listeners what...
Oh, yes, all 2 of them.
As
Which
we've
named them.
We named them, too. Our 2 listeners, what are their names, fellas?
It's Trevor and Corey.
Yeah.
How'd you get that wrong? It's Corey and Trevor.
Okay.
So, Oxenfree is a game where you are a young woman named Alex, who is in high school, and you are going to the spooky island where teenagers go to drink and presumably fuck or make out.
Whatever teenagers want to do.
All these things.
And
They also do this other thing.
Yeah, well, so it's like this, it's like this, like, kind of weird tourist trap island, and it has, like, this memorial to, like, a submarine that sank. It's set in Washington. It's set on an island off of Washington, which
we're in Washington.
Yeah.
That island doesn't exist.
That island's not a real thing.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a lot of, like, big settled islands off of Washington where the Japanese sunk submarines, but, like, hey, like, fuck it, man. Like...
Well, so... We'll get into that.
Yeah. Anyway, so there's a spooky ghost-like presence that lives on the island, and you get in some troubles. It's sort of this game involves you a lot of like walking around and talking to people and making decisions about the weird, creepy things that are happening.
Yeah,
to you.
It's kind of a choose your own adventure thing.
So our friend, who I think we've said his name already, Brian.
Yeah.
He asked me, Oxenfree, I heard about that game. What is that? And I said, Telltale Games presents Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Was how I put it to him.
Okay.
And he would and like someone was in the room who played it. It was neither of you somehow. I think it was our friend Steven. And he was like, "Oh yeah, that's a good description." So,
yeah. I mean, that's about on the money. It's
like Telltale Game doesn't make this game. Just want to make that clear. But like they're known for their.
That's to emphasize that most of the game is dialogue.
It's like dialogue and decision based storytelling.
Sure. Yeah.
And like, I think this game is very gorgeous in a way Telltale Games.
I want to ask a tough question because I've asked both of you guys this off mic. And we'll start with our special guest because special guests go first.
Elise from downstairs.
So, yes, I am from downstairs.
Elise from downstairs.
Well, that's how I introduced you on our last episode. Next week we'll have a guest. Elise.
Who's your favorite character?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, this is.
He asked me mid-game, and I had a hard time, and I'm still not sure.
Yeah. Oh God. Can you come back to me?
No.
Damn it. Okay. My favorite. I don't want to say Alex because that's me. I give you my favorite character though, right?
Sure. You can
Okay,
pick
awesome.
Alex.
I liked her because I think a lot of her options for dialogue were just how she wanted to respond and what she really wanted to be. In regards to in that social setting, they were all pretty good. Sometimes if you want to just straight up be a BZ, you can be a BZ. Other times you can be like, you know what, I kind of want to make this work. Let's do this. I thought she had a lot of range. Her stepbrother kind of annoyed me a little bit because he just. I don't know. He just kind of seemed like meh.
What's his
name? Like at what point did you decide like that's it? I'm annoyed by you.
I would have to say it was probably within the first third of playing. The first time I played it, I was like, okay, we can be friends. And then it turns out I played it 2 days. I think was it 2 days?
Yeah, you played it in 2 sittings. I think.
Yeah, two sittings. Go ahead.
So before or after the event?
I think it was after the event.
After the event,
yeah,
okay.
because it was more just I don't know. It became not so much all about him, but at the same time, he just kind of had this. I don't even know how to say it.
He's kind of consistently whining.
Whining! That's the word. It's a great word. Yes, he was a whining, one-dimensional little pansy. Anyway, but
wow, sounds like you didn't learn very much about him.
I didn't.
What's his name for reference?
Jonas. His name is Jonas.
The funniest thing was because I liked him the first sitting I had with him. I was like, oh yeah, this guy is cool, and then I'm just like, no.
He's not quite a meathead, but he's in a neutral zone approaching meatheadness.
He's doofy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So I actually
he dresses like a high school friend of mine.
I liked him a lot, except for. Yeah, there's a lot of people I know from high school dressed like him, or did. So there was only 2 points in the game where I found myself disliking him.
Okay.
And that was the fight he has with Ren in the radio tower, where they both just turn their testosterone on and start being dicks to each other, and it's like
that. Yeah.
Like this is why I'm taking Nona with me.
Yeah.
Right?
So
that's exactly.
I did that too.
Okay, so yeah, all of us did that.
Yeah.
It was
like they ask you, which one of the NPCs are you taking? And it's like, well, I'm taking the one person who's not being an absolute bitch right now.
Right. No, you know what? I think that's a really good point. That's probably the part where I was going.
And then the second thing that made me not like him was that the redhead, Clarissa or whatever her name is, likes him. She likes him, and that made me immediately dislike him more because I don't like her at all.
Yeah.
I didn't get that.
I didn't
That
get
didn't
that either.
come
No, because
out.
she's like putting out feelers. She's like, oh, like not like is he single, but like that, like
She's just got a thing for Alex's brother.
I guess.
Oh God, that's horrible.
My fetish is your brother.
Whoever it happens to be.
I don't care who it is.
Well, she's in luck that Alex managed to get a replacement.
Yeah. I just got a new brother in from the shop. Anyway, Owen, who's your favorite character?
So my answer is going to take a little unpacking because he's also my least favorite character.
Oh,
and that is Ren.
that's what I thought. That's what I thought.
Yeah, I found Ren completely insufferable for the first part of the game.
Yeah.
To be honest, like we should explain why.
So he has the diarrhea of the mouth.
Oh God, yeah.
And he eats magic space brownies before the
No,
event.
so actually
That was a very contemptible thing to do.
I too found that very humanizing.
I was like,
No, it was not the first brownie, the second brownie.
I found both of them humanizing.
Okay. The second brownie was contemptible.
I was sure.
Like, okay, we were in like a dangerous
You don't need to make
situation.
this worse.
Your response is to eat more drugs.
No, I was.
Fuck you.
So at first I really didn't like him, and so I actually went to
I think the word you used was obnoxious.
Yeah, I found him very obnoxious, and so the spooky ghosts get into your friends, and you get to pick which of your friends to go help first. And so I helped Clarissa, where even though she's like this insufferable bitch, she's not really annoying. So I went and helped her first, and by the time I caught up with Ren again, and he eats that second brownie, I was already like back on his team. They're like, when you get Ren back from the submarine ghosts. Like he starts like joking around, and it diffuses the situation in this way, and he starts doing this annoying thing that's very familiar, and it's very like, oh great, my good friend just made this dumb pun, and it's like my job to roll my fucking eyes at this guy, and like got him.
But familiar pattern makes you feel better.
The game just made me feel uncomfortable enough the whole time that I was like, I felt like overwhelmingly happy to see him again, even though I found him really annoying.
Yeah.
It's like.
He's that friend.
That's like
really
a complex
good.
series of emotions.
Yeah. It occurred to me like while I was playing the game, like this is like the first time where like an NPC has like very genuinely felt like a friend, rather than it just being an NPC who says nice things to you all the time, and like I guess I like them
Because you hate and love them at the same time.
Yeah,
I like
yeah.
that.
Right,
It's
like
a
there's.
really.
Go ahead. Go.
I was just gonna say like a really irritating security blanket.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Like
itchy,
there's
but,
things you love about them, but there's also those things that you have to accept about
Yes,
them,
yeah.
and that's really that works with him a lot.
And I was actually really bummed that I didn't manage to get Ren and Nona to hook up at the end.
Oh
'Cause
yeah.
I like
didn't
both of
either.
them.
I did.
We've
Nice.
Yeah, me too.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
I pretty much ironed out why that is, and it's
Oh, yeah.
because at the beginning of the game when I found Ren super annoying before I realized I liked
You
him.
called him out.
Oh, I totally called him out
Yeah,
at the
I called him
bonfire.
out.
Like, there's just
Well, I
like,
called him on the bonfire too.
oh really?
Yeah, we talked about this.
Oh,
Like,
okay, maybe.
Yeah, because you were comparing and contrasting. You were like, I told you all my ending states, and they were all like positive, and you were like, but what? And then we compared and contrast on Nona and Ren because that was like the only one that was different.
yeah.
And you're like, did you do this? And I was like, yeah. Like I called him out on the bonfire to make it even.
Mm-hmm.
So like, because if he sees her reaction is also like, I don't know, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
They were playing. We should.
It's like a truth or dare.
Yeah, they were playing
game.
like truth or dare.
Truth or slap.
Yeah, it's like slap bet, truth or dare, and like
Yes.
they just like we straight up ask both of them like, do you like this person? Do you like that person?
I want to mention when truth or slap comes up, when they're like, yeah, we should play truth or slap. One of your dialogue options is like, isn't it truth or dare? Like, and I liked that because as a player, you could be like, well, why'd you say that dumb thing?
Yeah.
And then it gives them an option to explain it, and they're like, well, because like being slapped is worse than a dare.
I noticed
like,
that a lot of the times
this way no one ends up pantsless.
with the three dialogue options, you end up gaining information from that
Yeah.
about what's like her
What the
perception
situation
and the
is.
situation is, but you don't necessarily always have to like pick that option. Like when when she said, "Don't you mean truth or dare?" I was like, "Oh, it's a truth or dare thing," and then I moved on and picked a different one. Right. So I'm also gesturing with my hands.
I think we all do that.
Yeah,
That's
they're-
fine.
Naturally.
They're almost like thought bubbles in her head. Like even if you don't pick one of those options that comes up, you are still being informed about what Alex thinks and what you as the player should know about the situation contextually that you can't know because you haven't been Alex for your whole life.
Right.
And the other thing that's interesting is when the situation is highly emotional, that goes out the window.
Oh yeah.
Right, like it's all just like, what, how, fuck you, or like your options.
Yeah,
right?
like little like one word answers. And
yeah,
stuff like
and
that.
so like I really like that situationally it totally matters. And then the times I couldn't pick one,
Mhm.
the game just fades it out.
I was just gonna say that. Yeah,
and I end up in this situation where I'm like, I guess I have to accept that they're just like bummed I didn't say anything, and that put me in a weird like position too.
Like, you guys know that I am a video game like fracker. like I get in there
and you
and I
put the sand in.
I juice every single ounce of content out of the game. Right. This was the first game I've played in I'd say like a decade where I was comfortable in those situations where like you just let the dialogue trail off and you don't say anything. There were certain situations where I was like, Alex doesn't need to say a goddamn thing.
Yeah.
Right? Like
yeah, like any time a dialogue option comes up, you're almost always given three options. and like the fourth hidden button, the secret button, is
It's
to not push a
hitting
button.
Yeah.
And like not saying something in a conversation can have as much effect as one of
There
the
was
others.
there was a
more.
number of times where
Yeah.
Clarissa
Definitely.
was talking at me, and I would just be like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
all it's gonna do is start a fight, and I'm like, I'm not into that.
Walking away.
So that's interesting because I
Literally walking away.
it's funny because I literally played that game the way I would be, and every time something back at her. Like, fuck you, quit it.
Right. Because
Stop
I'm
it.
always telling you to stop
No,
talking
I know,
to
and
the
that's why
stupid
I'm
kids
laughing.
in the video game.
That's why I'm laughing about it. Is like that says a lot about me as a player. That I was like, "Hey, bitch, shut up." Every time she's being a bitch about it, like
You're just like using clap emojis at her.
yeah.
So I guess we should explain part of the narrative of this game is you go into the spooky cave
Yeah.
where kids drink and make out on this island
Yes.
And stack rocks.
and
rocks. They
yeah,
were
yeah.
very
And so
important.
this is an island where there's lots of mysterious radio signals that seem to come from nowhere and whatever. And like that's like kind of like the local myth and legend. And Ren tells you like, hey, if you go over where the locals stack these rocks and you tune your radio, you can hear a spooky thing. And you go over to the cave and you do it, and this little white triangle appears in the air, and it like makes creepy radio noises. And you go to the next one, and you do the next, and you do the next, and these three triangles make a point. And I don't know what it is.
They
It's
make like a triangle in space
yeah.
from each one.
Yeah, and
Yes.
like spooky lights come out of the cave,
Spooky lights.
and so you sort of
Your doofus stepbrother Jonas crawls in the cave,
yeah, you go in the cave and
and you're like, "I gotta get him."
yeah,
Yeah.
and
responsible.
You go dial up another one of
Well,
these.
like the plan was always to go in the cave. He just
Yeah,
did it.
but
He just went.
He
for
like
it.
the Goonies just dives in for
Yeah.
you, like
yeah, and,
Summertime down here.
and so when you're in the cave, you manage to run into another one of these, and everyone like blacks out,
Yeah.
and you
and
wake up.
teleports.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so
Yeah.
you wake up, just you and your stepbrother, and your two friends, or three friends. Friends. This is Clarissa we're talking about
Nah.
here. Clarissa, Nona, and Ren have been separated from you.
And you end up in a field like 1,000 yards away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like very far away
Past
from
an
it.
electric fence, if I'm not
Yep.
mistaken.
Yeah, and so it's up to you. Yeah, past an electric fence that you have to take steps to like turn off.
We're talking
Yeah.
like Jurassic Park electric
well,
fence.
yeah, he
even makes the dinosaur
yeah,
joke,
yeah.
but like I wanted to like get the visual in there because it looks like that in the game too. It's the big cables and the
Yeah.
Y at the top, and
Yeah, so and so like, and you stumble around the island and disembodied voices and glowing triangles and sinister red light. I don't know if I've
Oh,
Time
yeah.
loops.
and time loops.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's the
and
worst.
Jonas is the Dr. Crusher of time loops and sucks terribly at them.
Dude, I love his discomfort at not being able to
You're
realize.
like, hey, time loop, and he's like,
But at the
I
same
hate
time,
it. I hate that.
At
I
the
can't
same
see
time,
this.
it is
Ugh.
very refreshing to have a character like an NPC in a video game. You're like, dude, we're in a time loop, and the NPC is like, okay,
Yeah, I believe you.
this is how I feel about that. Like, I believe you, because every single time anything like that happens in a video game, and you tell an NPC, the NPC's like, that's not true.
Yeah, no, the first third of the conversation
Or-
is put the glasses on.
Yeah.
Or
Put the glasses on, I'm punching you.
Yes.
Yeah,
or
exactly.
like in all media, like
Yeah.
like in Star Trek, there's a time loop episode, and someone says we're in a time loop, and everyone goes, "No, that's crazy. Back to work."
Yeah.
Put
Put
And
the
then you
glasses
get to
on,
hear, no, that's
motherfucker.
crazy, back
Which,
to work.
put
four
the
times.
glasses on, that's a reference to
That's,
They Live.
They Live.
Yeah.
The-
Mr. Armitage is
Yeah, I
not
was
wanting
just
to
gonna
put
ask
the...
you about that.
So there's this scene in that. So that movie is all about. This is gonna
It's
be
like challenging perception, and he's like asking him to put on these glasses that like strip away the ideology from things you're looking at. So like the ad will just say its message in plain text instead of having
just
like
like
a
consume.
Oh,
like
cool.
breed
So-
and reproduce.
Yeah.
Right. And so
There's
he's
no
like,
subliminal
hey,
thing,
hey, best friend, put these glasses on. His best friend's like, fuck no, and they have like a 15-minute long fist
Yeah,
fight. It's like really.
It's really great because like the movie has a dumb pro wrestler in it as the main character, and he beats up Keith David. But the thing about the scene
Thank
that's
you for
cool,
the main beat.
Who's the wrestler?
it's Roddy Piper.
Okay, yeah.
So the thing about that scene that's great is that like it's the Hollywood version of like a long philosophical conversation, but instead they're just beating the shit out of each other in an alley.
Because he's like, you need to do this
Right,
thing
like,
that's
they
like ideologically uncomfortable for you, and he's like,
Yeah.
no, and then they
No.
just fight instead.
Right,
Right,
like
so-
instead of having that like 2-hour conversation where they stab at
So
each
again,
other with
it's
words,
refreshing.
just like,
It's refreshing that an NPC in a video game, you're like, hey man, a paranormal event is happening that you're unaware of, and they're like,
Yep.
okay. and like
And then he
states
gets
how feels.
frustrated.
He gets frustrated, and he's like,
Yeah.
that sucks that I like can't experience this the way you are.
Yeah,
You know.
that's
Um,
true.
Anyway, favorite character, Keenan.
So you came in and asked me like,
Midway through, I think your answer was Alex last time, but you finished the game now, so
So my answer for you midway through, I think, is important to my final answer, which is I don't really like anyone at that point. I found everyone like deplorable or not enough.
You were opening the bunker.
Ooh.
I think that's where we were going when you asked me that question, and like by way of the fight that we talked about in the radio tower, and Clarissa being a huge bitch and killing herself in front of me, and a couple of other things.
Oh yeah, she does some
stuff
shit.
she gets inhabited by the ghost.
She doesn't actually kill herself.
Yeah, she doesn't really.
Yo, whatever.
Which, by the way, if you haven't realized by now, spoilers.
Yeah.
Yes.
So like
every episode of this podcast has a spoilers tag on it.
Yeah.
You shouldn't listen to our podcast if you don't want to hear about the game we're talking about that week.
Yeah, so take that, listeners. All two of you.
All two of you.
Their names are
Corey and Trevor.
Oh, I was gonna say Troy. Sorry.
No.
It just sounded good.
Troy and Trevor.
There we go. Done.
Troy and Trevor.
My favorite people. Sorry, guys.
So like by the
I
end,
didn't like Brack saying that. Troy and Trevor.
I'm not sure like I have an answer except to say like Nona because she doesn't start shit. Like everyone else has something in that game that like pissed me off, and Nona's just like sad, crying, freaking out in the woods, and then like totally chill the rest of the game. Like there's nothing about her that I found like vexing.
Inoffensive.
Yeah, like everyone else was frustrating on some level, and I was like, "Shut up, go away."
She's the Halo of teens.
Yeah, she's just like
nothing wrong with her.
Totally agreeable. You know, like
I actually like my answer is also Nona.
Okay.
But mostly because she says Epiphany, and I can't get that like series of syllables out
so
of my head.
There's a zone in the game called Epiphany Fields. It's where you wake up and realize what's going on, and I'm sure that there's some.
Which let's flog you over the head with that.
Yeah, but she calls it Epiphany Fields.
Yeah, she's like, we need to go to Epiphany Fields. Is it Epiphany Field? And like, no one has the heart to correct her, and I love that. Except Alex, if you choose to be as you said, BZ.
Yeah.
Yo. So it sounds like a lot of people were consistent with Alex, and I feel like I wasn't.
Yeah. I don't think I was either, though.
Okay,
I think a lot of times when you're talking about the emotional, like, it gets really scary. It's just like, oh shit, I don't know, and you just kind of like gut reaction.
Right.
And I think that's really cool because if you don't choose, it's going to choose for you.
Right.
And I don't know. So I just
like,
got...
Michael, what do you want to do right now? I want to break up. Like,
yeah, there you go.
That.
Yeah, exactly. It's just absolutely... Yeah. So I don't know. I couldn't say that I was like a character playing Alex or playing the character of Alex. It was more just me being like, I don't fucking know. There's this spooky stuff happening. Just let's get through this. But I wasn't always a BZ. So there we go.
So I feel like my Alex is a really complicated individual because in the really spooky parts she's super nice to people, but then the minute anyone verbally stabs anyone, they get stabbed back.
You're just a prickly person who's cool under pressure.
Right, and then
let's not make this work.
I feel like that's like your Matrix version of yourself.
Kind of, yeah. So that's like really interesting. Like now I'm introspecting because of how I acted in the game. But then like anytime someone needs like, you know, that like nice statement or anything like that, like I'm right there. I'm like, yeah, make them feel better.
Hey, bro.
Yeah,
I'm gonna aggressively mother you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so like it's super funny for me thinking about it because like, there's so few that I missed, and then when I missed them, I was like kind of sad that I didn't.
Is it like restart the game? I didn't.
No,
Da Vinci
not
level.
Like that. Like, God damn it! I'm still regretting.
Yeah, I still am. Like I went back and I did it, and I did hug Da Vinci, and I'm still sad.
No, I let it go.
Oh.
So to fill everyone in.
Yeah, please.
In Assassin's Creed 2, you're a guy in Italy, and one of your friends is Da Vinci, and there's this really, really fast, like 2-second window where you can hit a button to hug him when he goes in for a hug.
After like a 45-minute mission.
Okay.
So like it's out of nowhere. It's one of the only ones in the game where there's like this one quick option to do something in the dialogue.
In the whole game.
And so it's one of those things that like if you played that game and you missed it, you're like, I didn't hug Da Vinci. Like, it feels like this injustice.
And he gets real bummed.
Yeah,
and he's like your friend, and he obviously is sad if you know.
Yeah, and so like there were moments where I could tell immediately after I hadn't said anything, where the character sort of like mumbles out of the conversation. I'm like, I fucked up.
Yeah.
Right. Like I should have said something. You know, and like it's weird because Yeah, I definitely played Alex like me. Which
I think that's kind of what you're supposed to do.
interesting, yeah.
Yeah. But,
I did want to mention something. So right before you go into the bunker, all your friends who are still with you like line up outside, right? And you're supposed to have like final conversation with them.
Yes.
I was going into the bunker as they did those animations to do that.
Yeah.
I was like, oh no, it's the like talking to all the NPCs before the final battle
Matt.
in a BioWare game.
Matt, you know what you missed?
Oh man.
You missed hugging all of them.
Yeah. There's literally a bunch.
I'm sorry to do that to you.
No, it's fine because
It just felt
no,
too
because
good.
like the game explicitly told me that I had a good relationship with Clarissa, a good relationship with Jonas, and
What?
Nona and Ren got together. It explicitly told me these
How
things
did
after I
you
beat
do
the game.
all
There's
of
like a stats
those?
screen.
I am a failure.
No, I mean, okay.
She just meant, how did you spin all those plates?
No,
Oh.
how did you spin your plates, sir?
Oh, I
Because
acted like me. I don't know.
You're just a good person. Okay.
Yeah,
Anyway.
this game has shown that Matt is the best of the four of us.
Yeah.
Well, like I said,
know.
I am a video game fracker.
Because
You
Jonas,
get in there and ruin the groundwater.
Yeah.
I get you.
I felt badly that I was not.
what objectives of those did you not?
I didn't get Jonas. We weren't close, and I was
Really?
bummed about that
Huh.
because even though I was kind of like, oh, you annoy me. Oh shit, I kind of want to be your friend.
Sure.
But I was great friends with Clarissa, and I'm like, I didn't really care about you. Ah.
So
But I was like,
the one
nice.
time I gave the shove to Jonas and was like, "Hey," was when he was being a dick to Ren.
Me too.
But later you have an opportunity to just say like, "Hey, are we cool?" And like we had this little like moment afterwards.
I did that and it didn't happen.
I thought we did all those things.
Sure.
I don't know what Jonas
I'm not
gets my
saying that
face.
that's like the trigger, but I'm saying like the rest of the time we were cool.
I thought we were cool too, but then at the end he's like, sometimes we see each other, and that's cool.
Yeah, I got
And
that
I'm
one.
just like, ugh. I felt like, ugh.
I see him mostly at Thanksgiving.
Yep.
And I was like,
I think I got that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like my team photo was just everybody hugging.
nah, see, I didn't
Yay
get
for
that.
you and your happy
Yeah.
time.
Maybe the trick is to not hug them before you go in the
Oh, maybe
bunker.
that's it.
Make them want it. Like my sister told me, you gotta act like you don't care. I'm like, but I care so much.
That's
So-
funny.
We've spent a lot of time talking about the character relationships,
Yeah.
and we've spent almost no time talking about the spooky submarine ghosts.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
I
Spooky
want
Submarine
you
and the
to
radios.
talk about your theory about the end of the game.
Okay, but can I interject
No.
as the resident submarine expert?
Oh yeah.
Oh fuck.
Yeah,
off.
please lay it on
Oh,
us.
fuck.
You don't have 85 officers and 12 enlisted men. That's terrible, and I got that wrong on the quiz because I didn't pay attention at the beginning of the game.
I got that one. I answered the questions.
I
Right?
Oh,
I
dude.
wasn't ready for a quiz. It just kind of got sprung on me.
No one's ready for the
actually,
quiz.
I actually want to say I actually got every single quiz question wrong.
Yeah,
in the
Are
entire-
everyone wrong?
What
And
happens?
every single quiz
Did
question wrong
you
on
get
both
this
quizzes. Nothing bad happened.
Really? Ugh. I was so stressed out about that
so
one.
for me,
Yeah, he's
for
gonna
me,
die.
like I got the quiz
It
wrong,
was like a
and then
hangman
Clarissa
thing.
kills herself,
Yeah.
and then I'm like, Owen, did she die because I got that quiz wrong?
Yeah.
And Owen's like, no, she dies all the time. And so I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna move on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had that weighing on me for a while, and then she showed up all red and
Yeah.
spooky again. I was like,
Like
oh, it's
hanging
like
out
this.
on top of a
street lamp,
post.
yeah.
Fuck, okay.
So I have this theory. So we have these ghost-like figures like interceding and fucking with us, and
Yes.
they make it pretty clear in their like disjointed speech. They speak as like a gestalt of voices.
Mhm.
Like different voices will jump in at different times and like talk at you in a very angry way, and they want to get off the island. It sounds like they want to snatch your bodies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's their like ticket.
They
off
want to
the
take
island.
one or more of you and your friends'
It
bodies.
sounds like one is minimum, but like more would be
Trying to catch a
preferred.
ride
yeah,
out.
one, yeah. like
Because at one point they're like, "Hey, can we have Clarissa?" And
Yeah.
you're like, "No."
but
I kind of just wanted to give.
I was tempted, but I was like, that's not right.
4% of the player base has taken that option. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Not alone.
So they seem to be this game features time loops heavily. At the end of the game, even though you get an epilogue that talks about like you going off to college or you getting a job and like living your life or whatever, the game legit just does a time loop at the end, like it's been doing the whole game, and puts you back on the ferry, heading to the island with your friends, and your character's like, what just happened? And they're like, yeah, we're going out to go drink at the bonfire, guys.
So the whole game is larger
The
time
whole
loop.
game's this time loop, and so like my hypothesis is not that they're like ghosts in like the good old fashioned ghost story sense, but that they are some people that were rolling around in a submarine, and they encountered this phenomenon, and we don't get to know what that is, or what its nature is, or where it comes from. The event, and it kills them, it destroys their submarine, and also, in a certain sense, traps them out of time, and like loops them.
Right, and then you're experiencing like the residual.
And so you, Alex, your character is also trapped, looping with them.
Okay.
But it's
I think this theory has a lot of credence.
But it's almost like a splintering realities of things, because like Alex goes off and lives her other life in the epilogue. It says like you have the choice, like you say you go off to college, or you get a job, or you take some time for yourself. Those are the options it gives you at the end. So it's clear that some version of Alex has gone off and lived her life, but also Alex is stuck with them. And also, I only played a little bit of the New Game Plus, but when you're playing the New Game Plus, the first time you encounter the spooky ghost voice, or it was when you played it.
Yeah. When you said it was in the not
Elise
New
played
Game
it.
Plus, yeah.
Elise downstairs. Elise went downstairs?
Yeah. When Elise was playing the New Game Plus, the Gestalt of Voices, Alex's voice is in there.
Yeah,
like
definitely.
she's one of the voices that's trapped on the island.
So that makes sense with the way my game ended, because there was a point towards the end in the bunker where they were like, "You're stuck here now too."
Yep.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Well, at least I saved my friends."
Yeah.
And you're like, "Oh, I'm gonna make myself feel better about this."
Like,
and then
you don't understand. You're stuck here too.
Right. And so like it ends in this sort of
part of you, or it's just you.
Yeah. Well, or it's just a splintering reality.
Yeah.
It's an alternate reality of you.
Oh god, I want to talk about Man in High Castle now. No, we're not going to. It's okay.
But what was I gonna say? So they're like not literally ghosts in like the old ghost story sense, but they're ghosts in like a very figurative way. That they're these trapped minds.
Well, and
ghosts,
they're not
in
like
the way that like Ghost in the Shell uses the word ghost.
Yeah,
they're not ghosts to be solved the way a lot of literature. Like
they're
not justice ghosts.
Yeah,
it's not like you go burn the body and the ghost is gone, right?
Yeah,
like,
they don't
solve the ghost.
You can't go burn the submarine and the ghosts are gone. Like,
well,
catch up that submarine.
Maybe.
Did you guys notice that they lean actually like more into the triangles as a symbol for ghosts than I first appreciated when I was watching. So I finished the game and Elise watched part of my playthrough, and then I watched part of Elise's playthrough, and you finished it without me.
Yeah.
And on your playthrough, I noticed that the section of the cave where you first like open that rift and you black out and you wake up in the Lipthany fields or whatever. Fippany. Yeah.
That's right.
It's like what was it? Apothecary.
Yeah. Apothecary. There we go.
Hopty-clopta.
Yeah.
Are we going to out someone on Apothecary, or are we just going to let that one
No, we're
sit?
just going to slide it, man. I am not outing another professional.
And anyway, so I noticed that
so close.
Specifically that segment of the cave is like a big triangular opening.
I'll tell you later.
It's just two big sloped ceilings. Like it's a
Yeah,
triangular
it is.
room.
Yeah.
And then also there's one of the small
Triangulated radio signal.
Yeah, you triangulated
The
radio
locks
signal.
are triangular.
Yeah, all the
radio
locks
locks.
are. There's one of the shacks that has triangular windows, and I remember when I came up on that shack, it was
yeah.
like, we need to go in there and do a thing for the plot. And I'm like, I am not going in there. I see those windows. I am upset.
I see that triangle.
And like we,
you
talk about red. Talk about red.
Yeah. Well, I was just getting to that. So we go into that building, and like we turn on a lamp, and like later, like red light starts coming out of the lamp, and it's like, Jonas, we need to get out of this room. I don't like it. This is upsetting. Like red is like this visual theme across the whole thing. Like Clarissa has red hair. All the different characters have different color-coded speech bubbles to their character.
man.
Her speech is red.
Do you have a board in the other room with some strings and some push pins?
No, it's all up here, man.
Okay.
It's all up here.
Yeah.
So that way they can't get to
Owen
it.
hasn't started smoking yet. He
Okay.
doesn't need a board.
And so Clarissa has red hair, and she's possessed through most of the game and used as the mouthpiece.
Oh,
And-
I don't like
and-
gingers. Good to know.
And dies a lot.
Yeah, she
Style.
The way those conversations end is she dies.
Yeah, she gets her blood all over the place.
Oh my God.
So yeah, like those were the two visual themes, the triangles.
Red
Oh, and also
triangles.
at the end there's like a section where you have this flashback. So we've also barely touched on this. Alex has a brother who has died recently.
Oh yeah, that.
Yes.
And her mother has remarried, and she has a stepbrother. That's Jonas that we've been talking about.
Right. And part of the reason Clarissa's such a bitch
She's
is because she dated your brother
Michael, isn't that his
Michael.
name? Yeah.
Michael.
So there's a
and
part,
thinks you're responsible.
there's a part. So this ties into my theory about ghosts and triangles. There's a
Pepe Silvio. Pepe Silvio.
No, that's his band name.
Yeah.
My theory about ghosts and triangles.
So
that's an album.
There's like a flashback though where you're like you start in your bedroom and you go into Michael's bedroom and you like talk to him in the past.
And his room's a fucking triangle.
Yeah, his room's a triangle.
Oh,
Like
shit.
because Michael's dead and he's like for all intents and purposes he's a figurative ghost in this. You know, like I'm not trying to like make some like great meaning out of this, but like that's just like its visual language. That's its signifier. Like Michael's a dead person.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
This is true. Yeah. I would play it again, or I should actually just finish that game.
Oh yeah, do the new game plus. I kind of want to do that too. I was.
Well, there's like new dialogue and stuff. Right?
Yeah. There's a ton.
Definitely. You have
well,
two
so
options.
yeah. So like the thing about Alex being trapped there, the first time you talk to
Yes.
the ghosts, they address you like, "Huh, you're still here. You're still on the island," and you're like, what are you talking about?"
Yeah, you're like,
man?"
I don't. That doesn't make any sense.
That's
Yeah.
just your opinion, dude.
So, we'll talk about Owen. You were saying you had a very emotional reaction to the color red,
Yeah.
right? Like every time you saw red, you were like spooky shit.
Yeah.
He stepped
So
in front
for
of
me, like until they forced Clarissa to like kill herself in a fugue state
Mm-hmm.
or a time loop or whatever it was,
Or not.
or not, or
I don't know.
or whatever. Until they did that, I actually considered the ghosts to be like somewhat helpful. Like there was maybe two, because that's always like that's the
They
thing,
were like
sometimes
luring
there's
you
like,
in.
There's like two different, like phenomena going on here. I considered the ghosts separate from the time loops. So like the time loops are happening,
Oh, okay.
and the ghosts are like trying to help me out of it. Because every time you meet the ghosts, you like time loop first, then ghosts, then you're out, right? So like for me, it was like I'm gonna do whatever the ghosts ask me
are the
to do.
trigger to get you
Yeah,
out.
like
Interesting.
every time. So like for me, every time I saw the color red, I was like, "Let's do this."
Just pop your
Right?
radio out
Like,
and be like, I'm gonna find
yeah,
you.
I'd be like, flip my radio out, like
I wonder if
go.
that's if them being helpful earlier is a part of so like they're like this gestalt of all the people that are trapped in whatever the time loop triangle phenomenon.
Well, that was just how we took it. I don't know if that's
Well,
actually.
well
what's
so
going on.
hold on though.
Yeah.
Hold on though. Like so the old lady who lives on the island. There's an old woman who's lived on the island for a long time, and it's sort of revealed over the course of the game that she kind of knows what's going on.
Yeah.
She's got like a bunker.
Yeah, she's got a little
Shit.
bunker and she's privy to the spooky triangle submarine ghosts.
And is like being shut up for some reason.
Yeah, and her friend was killed. Her friend, it sounds like the ghost tried to take her friend's body.
And, like,
And,
worked it
something
out.
went wrong. It didn't work. Like, her friend just died.
Oh yeah, because the ghosts mention it later. They're
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, we did that, and we
Yeah.
kind of did a wrong calculation. And
Her friend- yeah, so I don't know.
Well, they specifically said that they did it too fast. And
Yeah.
like
Oh, yeah.
overloaded it or something.
Yeah, like her head exploded or something. Like, who knows?
Oh.
Well, so anyway, so like, I wonder, like, so you would surprise me if this weren't the case, that the old woman on the island isn't part of that gestalt.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Right, like she's here trying to fix the problem of her friend dying.
And she's someone who, like, when she was getting old, like, started, like, laying the groundwork, like, hey, if anyone comes here, here's what you need to do. Like, she put little caches of clues.
I'm
in
glad
the-
we're getting to that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I wanted to ask, did anyone dive into that?
I found one clue.
So I got one out of the radio. So the way it works in the game is you have to go through this lady's house to a boat to get off the island.
Mm-hmm.
And
Which I thought was the end of the game.
which
Yeah, right?
Yeah, I mean, at the time, that's how it comes off.
So you end up breaking into the ranger station, taking the key to get to her house,
Uh-huh.
and what the key ends up being is a new. So you've been carrying around this little FM radio in your pocket, and it only goes
Which
to
Ren
like
told you to bring. by the
yeah,
way.
it only goes
So
to
he's
like
a ghost.
Yeah, he's a
89 to 110 on the dial,
Yeah.
and I don't know about you guys, but I ran into one of the doors and a like letter that mentioned you need to go to 60.8, and then Alex goes, "Well, that's not on my dial," and I'm like, "Oh, okay, I guess there's something later."
Yeah.
So you bust into the ranger station, and the key, air quotes, is this magic radio they've been developing on the island.
Well, it's not even magic. It's just a radio, right?
But it just has more frequency?
The characters refer to it as a magic radio, so
Yeah,
I'm rolling
but they're
with it.
idiots.
Yeah, but they're
Yeah,
dumb
they
teens.
also called the
kids.
submarine a nuclear submarine.
And they also say the Japanese sunk it when it got sunk by. They don't like. They're just mistaken on this one, but it like the cover story is the Japanese sunk it, but it was actually sunk like friendly flyer.
Yeah.
Oh, is
They,
that
ta-
a
they
thing?
talk
That's-
about that
yeah, that's
later.
what I-
Oh, wow. I
Like it
didn't
was
know that.
like they sent it out and it had this really powerful radio on it and it was doing something, and then like home base didn't like what it was doing and was like, "Hey, we don't like what you're doing. Stop it!" And they didn't, and so they shot it with torpedoes.
Oh yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
And we should mention that
I never found that.
the
Yeah.
island was home to the largest radio antenna in
That's
the
right.
world.
Yeah, it was like super powerful antenna. or
Yeah,
something.
so that like has something to do with the phenomenon that are happening here. But you get this new radio that the dial goes to like 50 and 150.
Yeah.
And it's also the key to a bunch of locks around the island.
Yeah, all the locks
you
are.
can shoot little radio waves at doors and they unlock sometimes.
So once you have this radio, it tells you like, and you go to the lady's house. She has set up her own radio station that gives out clues about the island if you want to solve it.
Yeah.
And I only ever got one, and it was about turning the light on for people who come home, for sailors who come home. And I couldn't figure. I assumed that was the lighthouse.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't figure out how to turn the lighthouse on. So I moved on. So I wanted to know if anyone had gone any deeper
I found 2
on that
and I
weird
think
meta game.
The second one was the thing I just told you, which
Oh.
was the friendly fire thing.
Interesting.
So,
Okay.
So maybe it's...
And I only got that because it was like a wall of text, and I was near the bunker segment, and it was like 11, and I was like trying to get done
Yeah.
with the game, and it was like Alex started saying, "Oh my god, friendly fire," and I was like, "Cool, that's all I need to know. I'm gonna go kill these aliens," like.
So maybe it
No,
starts like...
it doesn't matter. It's like nah, hey, fuck aliens. Like that's what time it is, right? So
Perfect.
So maybe it helps explain the situation better if you go through that chain.
sure.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
I mean, like I'm definitely gonna play this game some more, and I
Yeah.
highly recommend that our 2 listeners, Corey and Trevor,
Yeah.
do that as well. I'm sorry,
Troy and
Crever. Yes, Troy and Crever. I could
Crever.
not do that for a second. All right,
Crever sounds like a dirty name.
Yeah.
Sorry, Crever.
There's
I mean,
like it's maybe that's a segment like word that makes us uncomfortable because last week it was
Crever.
gunt.
Oh. How did that come up?
Steven said the word gunt to me, and I went,
Gunt?
"Ah."
Yeah.
Yes,
G-U-N-T?
yeah, it's a portmanteau.
I got that 2 words together, but guy?
No,
No. I got the second
it's
part.
gut and
Yeah.
Why? Why is this
so.
word?
Can we please?
No, it makes you uncomfortable. Please tell me why.
I don't want to do this anymore.
I don't want to play.
Yeah, exactly. So, does anyone have anything else they want to say about this game?
It's very good. It is on Steam.
Yeah.
I believe it is $20 US.
Well, human dollars.
Yeah. I like it quite a bit.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's all
Do
I
you have
got.
anything else to say from downstairs?
Yes, at least from downstairs.
From downstairs!
Yeah, that's how I was doing it. Grotrian from half court.
Definitely play it. You might get uncomfortable, but work through the uncomfortable.
I got
parts.
legitimately spooked at
Yeah.
certain points.
I
And,
would-
and don't
Oh, yeah,
rush
what was it?
through it.
You
Don't
were saying,
rush
what's the
through,
optimal
'cause
play
that's-
environment?
Oh, yeah. So I was going to say, and this is something I think also...
Smoking, drinking? No.
Yeah. If you smoke, do
Smoking,
that too.
drinking with a corkboard nearby.
Yeah,
Yes.
well, what I was going to say is, like,
Connect the
this
dots.
applies equally to Kentucky Route Zero. It's like, play it in the dark, not because, like, you're going to, like, pee your pants scared. But just, like,
Nah.
it creates a nice,
It's eerie.
a nice ambiance.
Yeah.
Like,
You get embedded better.
drink a beer or two, or like some wine, or like if you smoke, like I don't know, probably do that. But
Take a
also
look.
don't smoke.
All of it.
Yeah, don't smoke.
Yeah.
We care about you.
But yeah,
Troy and Crever.
yeah. But like set a good ambiance for it. It's like a real
Hopty and Bavor.
Jesus, man.
But yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
If you were
Those
sitting
words.
here doing it with your lights on, like if we were playing it right now
That'd
with,
be
with
dumb.
our lights on, because the lights are all on,
So Elise and I
Totally
played it
different.
in my living room where I use a projector,
it was
which
really late at night.
necessitates it being dark,
Yeah.
which is great for the game.
Well,
It was
all the
very
lights
cool.
are on because people need to be able to see our hand gestures at home.
Yeah.
This is so true.
Yeah.
Hi.
If-
I'm waving to you.
If you can't see our hand gestures,
You need to drink more beer.
no, email us and we'll turn the lights up next
Oh,
time.
we will send you a hand gesture.
Yeah. Yes, email us at thiswebzone.
Anyway,
Speaking of emails,
speaking of email,
don't we have an email address?
Well, that's later. But
We don't have one yet.
What's the dumbest thing that happened in wrestling this
So the
week,
dumb-
Keenan?
The
Are you
segment...
gonna let us down again?
No.
Okay,
Because
good.
there was nothing last week.
So I went to SmackDown Live at Key Arena this week. They were in town.
Uh-huh.
And they did this
The SmackDowns?
The SmackDowns. All of them. The whole family. There was this really big multiple
I'm John
tag...
SmackDown. And
Yeah, let's keep interrupting the man.
So there was this really big match with all of their tag team groups that don't do anything on that show.
Mhm.
And there's 6 groups, all of whom are great in their own ways, except for the 2 that aren't. And there's a couple of fellows named Connor and Victor, and they are the Ascension, in air quotes. And what that essentially means is that they think that they are red and black Egyptian punk rockers.
That's the dumbest.
That's the aesthetic. So the dumbest thing is that this match is for all the people who they don't know what to do with, and these motherfuckers who haven't been on TV for 3 months won out of nowhere, and there's literally no explanation for why or what they're going to do next.
Okay.
I want to learn about this punk rock thing.
Yes.
Yeah. Ancient Egyptian punk rock. Speaking of ancient Egyptian punk rock, Owen, you own an HTC Vive.
Yes.
And
Nailed
I
it.
also own an HTC Vive. Look, it's my
3-point
thing.
landing.
No, you killed
Okay.
it. This is a good segue.
13-point landing.
Yeah, all 13 landing gears touchdown at once.
All 13 of them. So we both own HTC Vives, and so we...
So that's for our listeners at home. Those are virtual reality headsets.
So what virtual reality have you engaged in recently?
I played a game this week called Tiny Wheels, and it is something I bought on Steam for it was like $2 or something. And it's like when you're a little kid playing with like a remote control car, and the car's like this big on the ground. It's really cute. And
How big?
Thank you, Matt. yeah. So I'm gonna hold up my hand so you can see. No, it's like a little Hot Wheels car.
Sure.
And you put it on the ground, and you can drive around with your controllers, and it handles like
an RC car.
It handles terribly. No, it doesn't, because it's a video game physics-based thing, so it handles like a really crazy thing. But it handles really badly, but like in a really fantastic way. And then you can also like on one of your controllers, you can like plop down like terrain elements like ramps and loops and crap, and drive your little shitty car around.
Awesome, man.
Yeah,
and
is there a first-person mode for the car?
Wait, is this like Hot Wheels Track Simulator?
Yeah, kinda.
Yo.
There's not a first person, but you can adjust the scale so that like you can shrink your own perspective down, so it looks like a full-sized car.
Okay.
Which is like kind of crazy, and like make it drive around and crash it, and
That's great.
yeah,
This
and
sounds really cool.
That's great.
but it has like a level of turbo on the car that is like only achievable inside a video game. Like it's
like the level of instant acceleration.
yeah, just like instantaneous acceleration. Where if there was a passenger in that car, it would just like liquefy their organs, and like it'll be driving along, and it'll kind of like it'll hit a bump, and like maybe only one tire will be touching the ground, and that one tire is still just pushing it, and it's just and so it's like it's not like an amazing game or anything, but it was like
Definitely worth $1.
it was. I can't remember if it was $5 or if it was less than $5, but it was real cheap, and it's real fun to just fuck around and
Sweet.
just driving a little stupid RC car.
I finally got Cat Lateral Damage to boot in VR mode.
What is that game?
Cat Lateral Damage is a game where you play as a cat
Yay!
that knocks things off shelves, and that's like the goal of the game.
You get points for how much shit's on the floor at the
I
end of
want
the
to
game.
play this game.
Checks out.
I'm ready.
I think we can set you up if you want to play
we
that.
can make that happen.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Please do.
and then the other thing I've been doing on VR recently is being too scared to play Thumper.
Oh,
Too scared to play.
is that too much for you?
Well,
I mean, that game looks intense.
Yeah, well, so Thumper is a rhythm game made by maniacs.
Made by super duper prog rock nerds.
Yeah, so it's self-described as bringing the brutality back to music games, and I really like that, but I don't think that I like that. If that makes any sense.
Matt is not a high stress gaming gamer. He actively avoids it because he recognizes that it makes him yell things at his screen.
Which I already do.
Right. So,
But now the screen's in your face.
there are often things that I will play because I am weird and like to be stressed out by
just,
games
like,
sometimes.
Really, really like pain.
I'm just high energy all the time. Yeah, it's weird. But I'll be playing stuff and Matt will walk in and be like, I get that you like that, but there's no way I could play that because it would just stress me the fuck out.
Yeah.
And like that's...
It's like, I don't even really like Nidhogg.
I dig I dig that you're like, I want to play this game, but it terrifies me. Like, that's great.
Yeah, anyway, that's where I'm at with that. Video game news or video game issues? We had a thing we were going to talk about.
Yeah, there's a thing we were going to talk about. So, Steam,
Mm-hmm.
big video games platform.
Mm-hmm.
It's not quite the be all end all of PC game sales, but like it's kind of there.
It owns 90% of my game library.
Yeah, for real. So they have a system. They had a system in place, or still do in the time being,
called Greenlight, where people can post games they want to publish to Steam, and if it gets enough votes from the community, it gets put up on the store. People get to sell games they make, and so it's a cool way for small developers. People working out of their bedrooms making games. You can
People
sell it on
making
Steam.
things like Oxenfree.
Yeah, exactly. But this also results in Steam having a jillion things on it, and like nobody gets visibility and blah 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 blah. And also like nobody seems to care enough to upvote on Greenlight. And from what I understand, there's also a bit of like scamming of getting bot accounts to vote on Greenlight. I'm not 100% about that.
People will like duplicate multiple accounts.
Yeah,
and that kind of thing.
or do shady like paying for upvotes and yada yada yada. So
That's not cool.
yeah, and so Steam,
It was easily abused.
So there's a lot of abuse.
Abuse and also like disuse. Just like people like not using it as intended. And so Steam is like transitioning to just having a fee to put your game on Steam. They're demolishing Greenlight and just saying like, hey, pay this block of money that we haven't stated what it is yet.
Right, so
And
that's where it's scary.
You can put your game on Steam. And so like I saw statistics and it was like, this is for last year, and it was
But
like...
don't you get your money back if you make a certain amount of sales?
Yeah. If you meet a certain bar, you get your money back on the fee, is what they said. But I saw a statistic last year that said like something like 70 or 80% of all games on Steam right now were published in 2016. That like that's like how big of a deal the self-publishing on Steam is.
So Steam's weird because it used to be Valve only games, and then they started letting other things onto it as a platform.
One Finger Death Punch.
And then like in the last 2 years, like phone games were coming over.
Oh yeah, and so
Right, so like that tells you the same sort of saturation that those markets have
so
came to Steam in the same way.
A lot of companies taking their already existing phone game, modifying it so it works on PC, and then just like throwing it up on Steam, selling it for $1.
Make more fart noises.
And you can always tell them because like when you boot them up, they have big phone screen buttons and stuff, and all the interface is like you could totally play this with like a 2-button controller,
Dive kick.
So yeah, it's weird because due to the lack of information, this news is good bad, right?
It's either super cool or it's super not cool.
Like we said the other day when we were talking about this, like it entirely depends on how high that fee is.
Yeah.
Right, because if the fee is $1,000, that fucking sucks.
Right. If the way they're choosing to curate their games is with a paywall,
if that fee is $50, this is a wonderful change.
Yeah, or maybe.
I think it will be net positive.
Yeah,
right?
It depends on how low the fee is, because like I think if it's below a certain point, it won't stop people from just like
spamming,
just funneling in trash.
Sure.
It needs to be high enough to encourage that you're committed to it.
Yeah,
right. As a developer.
So anyway, that was an interesting news thing that's happening.
And I want you to talk about your recent experience with Dawn Guard.
With Dawn Guard.
So more Skyrim.
So we talked about this Skyrim virus that's been going around. It's real bad. You can hear it in Matt's voice. Yeah, I started playing Skyrim at Pro of Nothing. I talked about it on the podcast last time, and I bought one of the expansions to Skyrim, and...
Well, you bought both, didn't you?
Yeah, I did buy both. I liked one of them quite a bit.
Because Heartfire doesn't exist.
No, it's... What is that?
Heartfire, when you build your own house.
Is that the Morrowind that... Are you sure not thinking of Tribunal? Because I never played Tribunal.
You're doing like a thing.
Okay, so...
you got me.
Yeah.
Knights of the Nine, right?
Yeah.
You got me.
Horse armor.
So, I got this DLC. So you're in this big fantasy adventure world, and I'm doing my fantasy adventure thing. I install the expansion, and a guy comes up and says, like, hey, come over here. We're a society of vampire hunters. Would you like to join us? And I said, like, well, as a vampire, I would love to join you.
Which, first of all, dumb.
Yeah. They don't, like, literally anytime I talk to anyone in that game, they go, like, whoa, dude, you're looking kind of pale. Are you sure you're okay? Like, because I'm a creepy vampire man.
Yeah. Right. And the conceit being that the only reason they're not actively trying to kill you is because they've never seen a vampire before.
Yeah.
Oh.
Right. Like, they're not sure what a vampire looks like. But, you know who should know that?
The vampire hunters.
So I can only assume they're actually just really shit at their job or have never done it before.
They're actually just a fantasy realm LARP club.
Yeah, basically. Like, so anyway,
they invented crossbows.
So I agreed to join the Dawn Guard.
They're really committed.
The Dawn Guard are vampire hunter people, and they say, hey, we think vampires are doing something real bad here. And they
Which, to be fair, is true.
Yeah, they point at my map, and I go there, and I go in this spooky cave, and there's vampires, and I kill them. And I find this giant...
Because they are alive.
I find this giant stone ritual area, and I turn the stones, and I turn on the thing. It's like a kind of Indiana Jones thing.
Yeah.
And this sarcophagus comes up, and it opens, and there's a vampire woman inside, and she has an Elder Scroll on her back. And the name of this whole series is the Elder Scrolls, and the Elder Scrolls are these ludicrously powerful cosmic artifacts that, like, there's only a few of them in the world, and, like, to have even seen one in your life makes you a really important person, quite frankly.
And there's 2 in that game.
There's 3.
God damn it.
So I talk to her. I speak to this vampire.
Running out of road, guys.
I speak to this vampire woman, and she first of all, she immediately recognizes I'm a vampire. She's like, "Hey, what's up, vampire?" And I'm like,
finally.
"Whoa, cool the fuck down! I'm working for Vampire Hunter."
Be cool about it.
Yeah, and then literally one of the dialogue options I can say is like, "Is that an Elder Scroll on your back?" And she's like, "Yes, but I don't want to talk about it right now." And then like literally the next dialogue option I got was like, "I should probably kill you for my boss."
Because he's like head vampire hunter.
Yeah, because he's head vampire hunter, and I work for them, and like.
And you're a vampire hunter, and you're holding an Elder Scroll, so like that shouldn't happen.
Yeah, at the very least, I should.
But wait, if you kill her, then you'll just be a vampire with an Elder Scroll.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be
saying
cool?
you're better than her?
But that yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. At the very least,
objectively
like vampire hunting business aside, I should kill her and just take it so I can have the scroll, because that would be cool.
Yeah.
But this is where I broke myself of enjoying Skyrim, and this is not like an epiphany moment, but it was just like like one of those things where it's like, oh yeah, that's right, this is the game I'm playing, where if you attack this character and reduce their hit points to 0, they just sort of fall on the ground onto one knee and then get up again after a minute because
and be like, hey, let's go to my house.
Yeah, she's an essential character. She's so integral to the plot that you cannot kill her, and you have to carry out this story quest of returning her to her den of vampires.
Boo.
Just so that you can be given this option of working for the Vampire Hunters, the Dawn Guard, or the Clan Markov, or whatever the fuck they're called.
Even though you've presumably already thrown your lot in with the Vampire Hunters?
Yeah. And it's like, there's not actually like a good story reason why I should like help her escape.
But the DLC demands that you be presented with both options before you make a decision.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Right?
And so
you couldn't possibly be expected to make a decision without absolutely perfect information.
And so
no, of course not.
And so this isn't like a mind-blowing revelation to me about how Bethesda makes their games, but it was just like one of those things where like I crashed into this wall again. It's like, oh yeah, that's right. That's how they do things. I don't get to make my own decision about how this happens. I have to be led by the hand of the story.
It seems kind of like they're guiding you. Like, these are your options.
Yeah, you're
these are the things you want.
You're being pulled by your finger along.
Okay.
And so that is how I learned to stop playing Skyrim this time.
How long do you think this will last?
I don't know, probably a couple years.
Okay, well.
Yeah.
Alright.
I just realized why I don't need to play Skyrim. Because Skyrim writing, Bethesda writing, and pro wrestling writing are exactly the same. I already get that. I already get told what I want.
You don't need more of that.
Yeah,
anyway.
So it's fine.
Wait, they got Egyptian punk rockers in Skyrim?
Yeah,
Yo, it's a great mod.
Yeah.
It's really great when Connor yells, "Welcome to the Wasteland." It's good.
So anyway, we're Bethesda.
Yeah. Yeah. Pro Simon Vickland. Con, like down on Bethesda.
We sound like terrible people when we like that.
No, hey, shut up. Shut.
Well, it was like I was screaming at that girl at the bar last night. Bethesda is shit.
Oh.
I believe that you did that.
And with that, Keenan, where can they find you?
At Savory Scrimp on Twitter. Okay. Scrimp is SCRI.
Where can they find you? Do you want to be found?
I want to be found. You can find my Twitter. I never tweet things. I occasionally retweet things that I think are funny. You can find me at O'Harriman. That's HERRIMAN.
Elise, do you want to be found?
Sure. I'm on the face space.
Excellent.
That's how amazing I am. I'm Alize Lone Wolf. Alize, like the awesome rum.
Nice.
Drink. And Lone Wolf, like that's what the fuck I am. So there you go.
I dig.
Lone Wolf. Yep.
you people can find me here because I don't want to be found anywhere else because Twitter sucks. All right,
Twitter's something.
all right, and
Our lovely president's on it.
and what are we
Kill me
playing?
now.
What are
It's
we,
actually just as interns.
Owen, what are
There's
we,
an in between that gets yelled at.
Keenan do a StarCraft.
Yeah.
All right, you did that one.
I'm
already.
going.
There we go. All right, what are we playing next week?
I believe we agreed on playing Duskers.
Duskers, and what the fuck is Duskers?
Yeah, what is
Yeah, Keenan, what is Duskers?
What the fuck is
I
Duskers?
have no idea.
Keenan, the only person who doesn't know what is Duskers.
I saw it on your screen at one point.
And you said that looks cool.
It looked like asteroids.
It's not.
Then I have the wrong game.
100%
anyway,
not that.
I think
We looked at like
I think
5
have I
games
talked
and
about
that's
Kyle
it.
on the podcast yet?
I don't. I
Okay,
don't
so
know, I don't
Kyle
think
is a friend of mine, Kyle Rumgarten. He makes video games, but like tiny video games.
At Game Jams.
They're very, like Game Jam video games.
He powerhouses those.
And he
videos.
makes video games with his children, and he's a wonderful person. And I asked him for suggestions, and he suggested Duskers. And Duskers is a video game where you play as a person piloting drones on the inside of like wrecked starships, and you're trying to figure out why those starships are all wrecked. And that sounds great. So
like,
we're gonna do it.
Drone Starship Wreck forensics game?
Yeah. And I was asking, do you ever like just have like a normal camera on the drone? He's like, no, never. You're always looking through a filter, so you're always like only EM or only thermal, and so it sounds really cool.
Okay.
Like information filtering.
This is like puzzly sort of
I don't know.
stuff.
I don't know. We'll see.
Sounds cool.
Yeah.
I remember that better now, but I remember the wrong game in the series of games we were looking at.
I want to know about the asteroids.
There was one that looked like asteroids a lot, and that's the one that visually stuck with me.
Yeah.
And lastly, Bad Playstyle has 2 places you can reach us at if you want to tell us about things you think about our show.
Yeah. Or ask us questions.
Or ask us questions, or more likely than any of those things, have corrections for us about the dumb things we say.
Oh, this is true.
We can be reached at Bad Playstyle
What was it? It's like bad playstyle at
gmail.com because we're professional shop here.
Yeah.
And we
Worldwide.
also have a subreddit if you want to talk with the other listener about things we say.
Dude, they probably live together. Anyway.
It's a subreddit of a reddit.com/r/badplaystyle.
Thank you, CTO Owen.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say? Oh yeah,
Take us out.
take us out.
Hmm.
Bye. Graceful animal.
Our theme music is made by my good friend Benjamin Busey. You can find his SoundCloud at soundcloud.com/basicbenji206.